There we go.
All right. So what are these key laws and regulations, if you ask? Oh, they're listed right here. First slide. These are the rules we follow to ensure safety, compliance, and effect and efficiency. And they set the foundation for everything we do in this process. For example, to locate utilities, you may want to place a 48-hour one-call duty ticket, which is covered under 220 ILCS 50, or maybe you want to manage right-of-way issues. They're covered under the Illinois Highway Code in 605 ILCS 5.
Let's break these down a little bit. The 23 CFR Part 645 is from the FHWA. It sets federal standards for cost allocation, safety, ensuring utilities are managed efficiently in transportation projects. 605 ILCS, the Illinois Highway Code, governs how utilities are accommodated within the right-of-way, including relocation agreements. 92 IL Admin Code 530 also provides specific permitting rules for the utilities in the right-of-way and are often require us to have quick turnarounds, 30-day reviews. Finally, 220 ILCS 50, the Illinois Underground Utilities Facilities Damage Prevention Act mandates the Julie and the digger system that we all use.
All right, so what is the importance of the utility coordination, you may ask? Well, by our experience, it is crucial for all of our projects. By ensuring that utilities are properly located and managed, we prevent accidental strikes that can cause serious delays and safety hazards. And this process not only protects our workers and the public, but also saves significant costs by preventing disruptions.
And the success we see comes from our disciplined approach to early planning and documentation. Every step is designed to capture potential issues before they become problems. Our process is a blend of rigorous technical surveys, thorough data collection, collaboration with designers, and proactive engagement with utility providers. This ensures that we have made every effort to address all conflicts before construction begins. IDOT relies on its own one-call system to prevent utility strikes with our facilities. We are not members of Julie.
Right. Who are these key holders that you might ask in this utility coordination process? In summary, there's lots of people, agencies, and entities. This may include IDOT teams across all phases from planning through maintenance, as well as utility providers in electric, gas, telecommunications, and water source sectors, just to name a few. We also include local governments, counties, and municipalities. And let's not forget, there's consultants, contractors, and subspecialists. In Region 1, we also ensure that we employ specialized entities such as Julie and Digger in Chicago to support our field operations to locate utilities.
Each stakeholder plays a specific role. Utility providers supply us with the essential data, such as their atlas information or as-built drawings, maybe even just design drawings, but they give us something. They also mark their locations of their facilities on our plans. By engaging the stakeholders early, ideally before 30% in phase 1, we can identify conflicts and determine the best relocation strategies. And this early involvement is critical to maintaining our project schedules.
All right, so there are 3 major phases and we do coordination for the utilities. Phase 1 is the first one. Phase 1 is the starting point of many of our district projects. It is in this phase where we develop our purpose and need, define the scope of work, allocate funding, and develop conceptual plans. Phase one goes through a defined process and check and balances, using manuals, implementing policies and standards, all to justify the scope of work. In the end, phase one, most of the time produces a document, is a report, which phase two will use as a guide. For example, utility owners are engaged early to identify potential conflicts. Coordination meetings are set up as needed, as setting up the stage for a smooth transition between the phase one and phase two processes.
So yeah, in phase one, we followed our structured approach. We engaged the utilities per 605 ILCS. Before our 30% plans completion, we send out a topo survey plan sheet, ask for them to mark up with appropriate dimensioning the location of their facilities, provide their atlas maps, as-built, whatever it is they have on file. As I said, as-built are provided. It's pretty rare we get them, but when they have them, they'll give them to us. It is towards the end of this data capture period that will determine if a SUE is needed or not. Most cases, most jobs, we're doing SUEs in phase one. However, some of the smaller jobs in rural areas, if we've got good atlases, we may not need a SUE. So it's during this quality level B that we assess the need for further SUE studies or not. And we determine if coordination meetings are needed at this point. Typically, we'll bring in utilities for a coordination meeting at the end of phase one just to discuss conflicts, major conflicts, and see what we can do to adjust or avoid if possible.
Then we go to phase two. It's the continuation of the utility coordination process. And this phase is where a plan preparation occurs. We do develop the plans, special provisions, and estimates in this phase. We submit plans at 60%, which are considered preliminary plans, 90% are pre-final plans, and 100% which are final plans. We work with utilities to confirm conflicts and finalize relocation strategies and schedules.
It's during phase two, this process that takes about 24 months, give or take, depending on the project scope. We manage our final design details during this period of time. We work on relocation schedules with utilities, try to work in their relocations with our plans during phase two, and also start to develop our status of utilities document. So when we send out our prelim plans, often if we don't have a SUE, we're still data collecting at that point. But if we have a SUE, we already know where our conflicts are basically, and we'll develop that status of utilities at that point. And then we have it throughout the remainder of phase two. Coordination meetings are usually held on complex projects after each phase of the design process. And at 90% plans, we refine our plans in SOU to include the working days estimation from utilities. Again, if a coordinations meeting, we'll have a coordination meeting is needed. We'll have another one after pre-final. And then brings us to our final plans. At this point, we're at 100%. Everybody should know what we're doing. Our plans are finalized. Utility relocations are hopefully finalized, maybe not begun yet, but they're ready to begin. Everybody does a quick final check that nothing changed between pre-final and final, and we go. If the right-of-way is clear, final plans are done, we can issue our 90-day letter and utility relocations begin.
Then we go to our phase three. This is the construction phase. In this phase, the project is physically built. And we confirm that all utility relocations are complete, managed real-time conflicts are as they arrive and ensure compliance with the 90-day law. The BDE Manual, Chapter 6 is our main reference guidelines. A detailed utility coordination flowchart provides for a visual on how to keep everything on track.
Yeah, so during phase 3 construction, we leverage all of our data from the earlier phases, atlases, as-built, as-designed plans, red lines, SUE, the issued utility permits, and this guides our construction. Our construction teams conduct regular field surveys to match utility locations with our plans. They resolve discrepancies immediately per the 90-day law in construction. And again, the BDE manual ensures rapid decision-making, like escalating unresolved conflicts to the IDOT Region 1 utility coordinator within 48 hours so that delays and cost overruns are minimized. As-built plans at the end of the project are often used as future atlas base and shared with our maintenance staff.
But how do we physically locate utilities out in the field? Well, we use SUE survey methods. Survey methods are the backbone of our utility coordination process. They ensure that we have precise and reliable data to guide our decisions and prevent unexpected conflict. Tyler will go over in more detail here.
As you guys can see, there's 4 quality levels for SUE. I'm only going to focus on 3 of them today. The quality level D is obviously important, but it's kind of captured during our Atlas red line phase on our end when we send out plans, so I won't focus on it as much. The first that I'll talk about is the quality level C, or surface level survey. It documents all visible features such as manholes, valve boxes, utility marker posts, or even utility poles. And then if there is a joint pole with a bunch of communications on it, we have had pole detail sheets provided to us. It helps with coordination of knowing what order people are relocating in and building schedules. It's really important for that, really. Next, we use non-invasive geophysical surveys, quality level B. This method employs GPR, electromagnetic induction, using RTK units to detect utilities' horizontal location within a defined tolerance zone. And these surveys help us build a status of utilities document that help estimate with the depths of utilities, allowing for conflict identification. They also help with allowing for redesigns. If we have an estimated depth and an estimated within a tolerance zone horizontal location, our designers can take that information, look and see if there's anything that we can tweak in our plans to avoid. Quality level A, this is done through potholing, hand digging. It's a visual, eyes on the facility in question. Method verifies the exact horizontal and vertical locations of the utility, documents the material, their size, condition, in accordance with ASCE 3822. Each method is selected based on the specific needs of the project, balancing accuracy, cost, and time.
In a previous slide, we touched bases about the 90-day law. Here with more definition, the 90-day relocation law is a critical regulatory requirement in our process. Under 605 ILCS and 59-113, once the final plans are approved and the right-of-way is clear, utilities must remove, relocate, or modify their facilities within 90 days. This law is designed to keep our projects on schedule, and we rely on it to maintain momentum in construction phase.
It's under this law that utility owners ultimately have 90 days to act once final plans and right-of-way are clear as mandated by 605 ILCS. If challenges occur on the utilities side, they may request a waiver. Some things that the law states that are eligible for waivers are acts of God, war, project scope issues, or if the state has failed to do the procedures of the 90-day law correctly. If any of those things happen, a utility can request a waiver during the window, and the district then has 10 days to reply to them, allowing for the waiver or not. However, strict adherence to the notice procedures is essential and compliance tracking is necessary. We got to make sure that if we're sending out 90-day, that we're actually following up on it. And our teams monitor this using basically like an Outlook and setting up reminders to ensure that we're following this process.
And then we go with reimbursable agreements, which is an important portion of our process. Reimbursable agreements are a key part of our utility coordination process. They ensure that when utilities adjust to the public right-of-way needs, that they can recover costs if specific conditions are met. Documented easement rights are essential for these claims, and this process helps keep our projects moving smoothly.
Yeah, so if a utility adjustment is needed, we initiate the formal process with detailed cost estimates and agreements. Reimbursement only applies to adjustments on public right-of-way, does not include any betterments, and requires documented easement rights provided to the district. Delays during this process can cause significant delays in construction if not caught early. All agreements must comply with Buy America requirements, ensuring U.S. source materials. This is part of the utility coordination process that protects both IDOT and utility providers, ensuring fair treatment and timely execution.
Even with this robust process, common issues can arise in utility coordination. This slide outlines common best practices to mitigate issues.
Yeah, so even with our robust process, some common issues arise during utility coordination, like delayed utility responses, outdated or incorrect data coming from the utilities, scheduling conflicts, communication breakdowns, and the key to overcoming these challenges is early engagement, clear communication, and the best practices that we've outlined here to keep projects on track. To address the issues, we developed a set of these best practices in the column next to it. For example, early engagement in phase 1 can catch most conflicts, allowing time to consider alternatives to avoid early conflicts. Precise data collection using SUE quality level B and up surveys reduces errors. Integrated planning aligns stakeholder schedules. Uniform standards and procedures streamline permitting and coordination. Transparent communication, like the publishing of our multi-year program, monthly coordination meetings that we hold in the district, and project-specific coordination meetings prevent breakdowns in this process. Finally, contingency planning ensures funding issues don't derail the process and keep our projects on budget and on schedule.
All right, and finally, we have shown how early planning, detailed design, and rigorous field verifications work together to ensure that utility conflicts are managed effectively. Process is not only about compliance, it is about safety, efficiency, mitigating risks, and cost control.
So now we'll open up for comments, questions. If you have any technical inquiries or need further clarification on any aspect of the process, let us know. Our contact information is up on the slides. And for reference, we mentioned the VDE manual flowchart. I went ahead and put this up there for you guys to take a look at.
In your reimbursement agreements process, do you, as a condition of the executed agreements for reimbursement, require the vacation of that prior exclusive easement within the right of way, or
Yes,
does that? Okay.
yes, their prior rights go away when we pay them to move.
And they run by permit.
Yes, and then they're there by permit. We send out our topo survey plans to them, notifying them of the project. What? Yes, yeah, we'll usually get our response within the month that we ask for it to come back in. Some utility providers are better than others.
I will say from a phase one perspective, the fact that you guys are now including municipal utilities, water, and sanitary, I think that has helped us to kind of catch a lot of the conflicts that are usually showstoppers at the very end of the phase one process.
Right.
So that has really helped us to gauge
All the stakeholders.
all the stakeholders early enough that we can have meaningful conversations that may affect the design of the location of where our proposed improvements are. That has really helped.
Well, and getting SUE done early in phase one is, I think, critical too. I mean, just for like our process, drainage comes before phase two. And without a SUE, I mean, you're causing impacts, unnecessary impacts.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I have a comment on the SUE, especially in the local road contracts. Or somehow, some designers think that SUE almost as the same as a survey. They think survey would pick utilities. That's wrong. And most municipalities, they like to go in the cheap route and don't put it in the scope of work. If you have a recon contract, advise your client to do SUE, especially the stuff that got the federal and state money. We get issues when our construction bureau, which is they oversee these local roads contracts sometimes, and we have delays because of that. Please, survey is not a SUE. Okay, and maybe we got like some SUE companies here, they put, and they're like surveying like ASCE and others. They got survey sections, then there's SUE sections. Survey is not gonna pick a lot of stuff, period. We had issues in the past that siphons been missed, sanitary been missed by the surveyors, and that we start redesigning stuff in phase three because designers wants to be cheap and think the survey is gonna save you. You know what? That's our advice to you guys, especially in the local roads that got federal
And state
funds and state money. Thank you.
Jose, who's speaking right now?
Sadat Mahmoud, IDOT admin manager.
Former utility coordinator. I just want to piggyback on what Carlos said here. And during our phase one process, have you find out, and maybe some examples here where the SUE process done in a phase one early in the process help you with the design process, right? Modify it, and we're saving millions and millions of dollars. And we see it all the time.
Yeah.
Their scope of relocation reduces.
We could add something on the I-80 projects, okay? We saved on one contract, $35 million because we did test holes. Okay? $35 million. Because these guys were before even the I-80 got constructed. They, like petroleum, like BP.
Yeah.
Billy Kinder Morgan was in there.
And you guys,
They installed it back in 1945, and we built the I-80, as you know, in the 60s. Okay,
so just by doing those test holes, they identified the conflict. We're able to mitigate with a design change in the plans, and we saved ourselves $34 million in paying a gas company to move when we could do something on our side. Right.
So in the process of issuing those permits to the individual utilities for their fine relocation,
Mhm.
what QA/QC is built into that process? Is there as-built that come back from the finished work on the relocation?
Yes, so when we get the relocation plan at first, if it's a state job, we're gonna send it back through our design team, have them evaluate against the design. Yeah, full review, and then once we issue the permits and they go out, we ask for as-built. They provide as-built back, we'll inspect them, make sure that their as-built are matching the field, and once that's all squared away, we've then got those documents for the contractor in the field.
Right. And that as-built being done, you're relying on that utility operator to provide that check,
Yes,
and maintain whatever standards they're writing into their contracts for their work.
correct.
Is there any kind of mandating from IDOT to those utilities when they're developing those as constructed, that they maintain compliance with the ASCE standards that are developed for new construction, 7520?
No, it's not.
So that's the area of our concern at the Lake County DOT level is if every utility has different standards for how they prepare their as constructed, you're gonna have different standards,
Right.
different variation on how accurate they are.
Yes,
But that's an area that I think needs to be looked at.
okay. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that.
All this process work like the CMGC contract.
That's a whole nother animal. That's kind of going in real time, I guess we'll call it. So we are giving out plans, I believe, on the CMGCs, but it's much more condensed. But we're still following the same process.
Besides, Lake County, who else, what other counties are using to the extent that Lake County is? You guys are aware of?
Not positive on that.
Some educating stuff to speak here on.
Mhm.
It's fine at the IDOT level, there's also county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we would suggest counties, municipalities, everybody follow our process.
I don't really even see that far.
Yeah.
Guys, do you get any contact from CDOT?
Full adaptation.
Which is,
CDOT and Cook County, it's like you said, it's really a budget issue on the design side. It's always a hesitation, always.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, from our Lake County experience, cost savings, for its delays, really construction. That's why it's been implemented in all of our large projects.
Every study that we looked at, the lowest rate of return is 4 times. The highest is over 20 times.
And to give you a magnitude of how much we use SUE in the district, we currently hold between 3 and 4 contracts, right?
Right now.
At 4 million each. That's the heavy amount of SUE that we use, and they go really like water.
I have some questions that came.
Yes. You want me to read it?
Let's see.
All right, so we had some questions online. First one, what type of enforcement does IDOT have with utility locates that are not completed within the 90 days? Well, we can, yes, strongly worded emails is one way. If we're documenting everything to a T throughout phase 1, phase 2, and construction, we can put those delay costs back to the utility. But documentation is everything there. Construction has to be on it. I mean, when you called, if it was a phone call, phone log, documented emails, anything and everything that you can would count. But in those cases, then we could go back and try and recoup delay costs from utilities that way. Worst case scenario would be going for the utility through our chief counsel and legal process because they're not obeying the 90-day law. We don't really get there very often, but
I mean, we have other measures, but, we can't say it in public.
yeah,
Yes.
there's things we can
Those are
do.
well known amongst the other 80.
Hopefully that answers your question. Next question. Is the Buy America requirement for reimbursements a state statute requirement or IDOT policy? I believe it's a state statute, federal. Yeah, state and federal, for those of you online.
Buy America is a federal stamp, and Illinois adopted.
Seems similar.
Right. Next question was, how can poll detail information be obtained? And is there any similar agencies like Julie that will identify non-underground utilities? So first part is the poll detail. How do we get those? We ask for them from the SUE. During a SUE request, we would ask for those.
Those are coming through the SUE process, not being submitted in the red line.
Correct.
by
Yeah.
Utility operators themselves.
The utility operators don't even tell us who's on the poll.
Right.
That's through our SUE process. Second part of that question was, are there any similar agencies like Julie that will identify non-underground utilities? Outside of Julie and Digger, I don't know of any. IDOT, like I said, does mention does locate our own facilities. On every permit that we put out, we have contact information on how they can get that. And it operates the same as Julie. We just do it with our own forces.
I'm gonna get that full level detail.
No.
information.
No, poll level details are from your SUE, not from Julie. Julie, I don't think even cares about the polls, do they? Really?
Julie's just an operator.
Yeah.
that Directs you to the utilities in the area, and it's your responsibility as an engineer to reach out to each individual utility and say, provide me with any existing utility.
Right. Oh, this is there. Please provide a list of public installations that are to be considered for coordination. Not sure I understand the question, but any plans that IDOT has, any jobs that we're doing, we send out. Can relocation be concurrent with phase 3 construction? Unless there's a reason that they cannot move ahead of our construction, we expect them to move in our pre-stage. If there's some sort of activity that cannot occur until we get to a stage in our construction, then we'll document that in our status of utilities as such and coordinate that with our contractor.
Not desirable.
It is not desirable.
On a regular basis.
Yes.
No, yes. Patients do occur. in this phase.
Can we provide electronic copy? Yes, we will provide electronic copy. And then the estimate of days completion for each utility needs to take into account that most cases ComEd needs to be complete before other utilities can complete their work. This is especially true when new poles are being installed. ComEd needs to have all their new equipment installed and cut over before utilities can complete what they need to do. I think that's more of a comment than a question,
Yes.
but yes, they are correct. ComEd is crucial.
Yes.
Nobody could do anything really without them. That's all the questions that were online. Do we have any more in the room? Hi, could you say it again? Yes, IDOT has pre-qualifications for SUE and it's on our website.
Different.
They're different than survey.
Yes,
They're totally different.
yes, absolutely.
Do you have a certain formula you have as far as which utilities go? You know, how you decide which utility goes in which space when you're relocating?
We don't. It's usually like first come, first serve.
That's what District Two does. That's why I was wondering if you guys have the same problem.
It's the same thing. I mean, currently I have a job that I'm trying to work with NICOR and ComEd to get them in a specific order, but generally it's first come, first serve.
Makes sense.
Ideal world, you probably want your poles as far out to the right of way as you can, your gas just inside of it, and then your comms in there, but we're not building that many new roads.
Let's tack on to that. So would you approve permits for utilities that are both looking to relocate the same running line and see who mobilizes first? Or catch it before they?
No, we hopefully do not do that. Sometimes it happens. Absolutely happens, but when we're reviewing the permits, both our design team and the utility unit, we're trying to look at past permits that we've maybe approved even in concept and then calling those things out.
Those earliest issued permits are added in the review process for subsequent permits.
It should be.
It's added on to the design that you're comparing it to. So now it's.
That would be a good best practice.
Utility right of way being carved away,
Right.
less space available, so, but yeah.
Have any, examples or experience where joint utility packages have worked?
We don't see too many of them. Very uncooperative. I have had one successful in the last couple years. And it got us through construction, but then ComEd ultimately kicked the person out. And we issued another permit after the fact, but
We have another example in I-80.
A82.
We have it also partially IDOT, partially county.
Right.
Tollway project, and they're the ones that kind of.
Initiated it.
They force the joint.
Yeah, we don't force the joint ducts. If we can ever have it, we would love it, but
Tie into the big once in a while, but.
Right.
It's our right of way. We have the right, to have, especially that I-80 contract. Told them, okay, this is the only way where you guys could have joint. We can't force them in certain
They
areas.
still own it and are responsible.
Yes,
for maintenance.
yes.
It's not something that you're putting in as part of your improvement, and forcing them to go into it.
No.
Becoming their landlord.
right.
If you have a SUE on a project and sometimes the design takes years, at what point do you recommend updating the SUE after what time frame?
Well, for us, we don't really
3 to 5 years.
hit 3 to 5 years, but I mean, for us, it's a little different because if we're tracking all the permits issued since the SUE, we should know unless somebody went in without a permit. But generally speaking, 3 to 5 years is about the valid range for a SUE. Well, we're feeding info to OUC throughout the process. But there are certain things with OUC that cannot occur until you have a contractor on board. And they have means and methods. When those permits have to be applied for in construction, there's just nothing you could do about that. However, during phase 2, we are feeding all the information from the designers into the portal and keeping OUC apprised from the early stages.
Jose, for your consultants that you work with, what pay items do you have included in their contract plans for, I'll call it mysterious utilities? Now, that's a made-up term, mysterious utilities. These are utilities that just show up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden the contractor says, whoops. Right. What pay items, like exploratory excavation or, oh, yeah.
Pay items,
Yeah,
see if I can maybe clarify just a little.
Contract contingencies.
I wouldn't say contingency. I don't
No.
think actual pay.
Unit items,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they don't-
exactly.
Exploratory,
Well, whatever.
exploratory, just the exploratory, really,
Is that horizontal or vertical?
vertical.
Yeah.
Both, yeah.
Both, right.
Yeah, I was not clear now.
Yeah.
Clear?
That's the only thing I could think of,
Yeah.
other than our status utility documents.
It's line items that are, you put in the contract based upon how big the contract is or whatever.
Depends, I'm sorry, it depends on the size of the contract. Okay, usually 90% of the time we use our through contracts to go and help construction people with, especially when we have test holes. Because contractors, they're not gonna be as accurate, and we have issued that our construction folk paid our contractor to do that, but guess what, no results. Now they come back to us and tell us, can we use your soup consultant? Now, lately, we've been telling our construction REs, if you need any double A, let us know and we'll have our, that's why we have 3-4 contracts.
We'll send them out during
Yeah,
construction.
sure.
But there's no pay items outside of, I think, like exploratory digging
Yeah.
that would pertain to utilities per se.
We write them, some of those things in our contract.
Yeah, that's in there, but like Sadat's mentioning, we're kind of pivoting more towards just sending our consultants.
Yeah, you've got them on.
They're-
Retainer, but we, in our county contracts, we don't have that, so.
Right.
We often use our contractor as a more expedient way to get the information than going out and calling the utility saying, okay, we got another spot here. You're in construction, you got a crew waiting around, so yeah.
Yeah.
We've got that built into our contract. Those are the emergency level A.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah, that's a good title for it.
Jose, last week at the DHE conference, we were chit chatting there, and you had mentioned that FHWA had done an audit on your program. Can you share with us what you told me?
So, this is, when there was, we both participated.
Ken was there too.
Yes. Ken was there. I think we survived that audit, right? We came out actually, on top, right? Our district was, having a great process. We're following all the process, meeting models chapter 6. And our process was great. I mean, obviously, there was a few things that we were, do you remember what was,
It's two items, were
Right.
like, we need to communications more with our land acquisition people.
yes,
I believe the other one was,
it was like permit numbers not being unified.
the permitting.
I thought I remember saying something about, in the CA form,
That's it.
remember?
There you go. Yep.
Oh, with reimbursables.
Reimbursable, we have to mark it in a CA form. That's.
Yeah.
Which is minor things, but, we have corrected that. We improved our process.
Thanks, Jose.
Well, I think from like that whole audit as a state, the main thing that we have to do is just become more uniform. The districts tend to do things a little bit different than each other. I mean, even our permit numbers aren't even the same formatting. So it's just unifying all the districts.
That's something you can talk to Gio about, sure she'd be receptive, she's looking
Yeah.
for input from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. But overall, the feds see our process as sound.
Tyler, was there thoughts about converting some of this process to the GIS format?
Yeah, so we're in the process right now. We just mapped in all of our past Sioux studies. So we did like 500 Sioux studies into GIS. The intent is to have all of our Sioux captured in the geospatial GIS database for all of our designers, maintenance staff, anybody at IDOT to see. Over time, as we get a new permitting system and start having permits in there, we'll have permits, we'll have relocation plans, we'll have SUs, we'll have a more complete picture, kind of like an atlas of utilities in our district. So that's kind of where we're going with it. We're still in the process of it, but it's coming. Unlikely.
It's, that's.
Yeah, no.
We're about at time,
Yeah.
so, just want to say thank you so much for our speakers. Thank you to everyone for their attendance today. We'd like to keep you on for one more minute and fill out a survey if you don't mind. And then we'll come around and pass them out. And we will email you through, constant contact, we get a PDH certificate, as well as you said, we can show this as well.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
You.